Wayne Duvenage of Organization Undoing Tax Abuse joins us now for his reaction. Wayne, good evening. Thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. The president seeming to indicate that since 2018, institutions like the SIU, the NPA, the Asset Forfeiture Unit and so on and so forth, even SARS, have been doing great work. I mean, as far as action against perpetrators, saying law enforcement agencies have been granted freezing and preservation orders to the value of 12.9 billion to date. A total of 2.9 billion of stolen money has been recovered. SARS has collected 4.8 billion in unpaid taxes arising from the work of these institutions. The NPA Investigating Directorate has enrolled 26 state capture cases and declared 89 investigations. 165 accused persons have already appeared in court. I mean, is that enough work, enough action as far as, of course, what was recommended by the Commission?
Well, it's a lot more than I think those institutions would have done under the leadership of Sean Abrams and Tom Moyane and others. So, of course, one needs to celebrate it. It is a little, it is not enough, certainly. I mean, you know, all of this information has been out there in the public domain since the Gupta leaks took place in 2017, and there's a lot of evidence. But I think these institutions have been under capacity, and what we would have liked to have seen the President mention more about is how we're going to capacitate these institutions to go much further than they have been right now. You know, they're dealing with everyday crime and fraud and rape and murder, and we've still got to try and do a 10-year backlog. So, you know, we're looking forward to. I think we're just a bit disappointed. There's a lot of stating the obvious. We need to see what comes out of this report, because he's had this information for a long time now, and we needed to hear more concrete evidence of what he's actually going to do. We needed to hear that these institutions would have been far more capacitated to move faster.
Yeah. Three things that coming out of there, I mean, after 4 months, probably there's a little bit more in the flesh when we'll read that 77-page report that he says he's given to Parliament and other critical institutions. But on addressing corruption in procurement, which I'm sure is one area that as OUTA you're particularly interested in, three things. The public procurement bill will be submitted to Parliament by March 2023 and will address many of the Commission's recommendations. Two, public procurement legislation will be harmonized and procurement processes made more transparent. Three, legislation will be amended to criminalize donations to political parties in expectation of state contracts, to bar suppliers who have engaged in dishonest and corrupt behavior, and to make failure to prevent bribery an offense. Is that deep enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of words there, but why is this taking so long? We don't need the State Capture Commission to have mentioned what he has done and said this needs to happen. This should be happening already. I mean, transparency in procurement is a given, but we don't see that happening. So it's again talk. We hear a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, but we don't see enough happening. I mean, right now, for him to mention as well that directors
seem to have lost Wayne there in that connection, struggling a bit with the connection, of course, under load shedding. Wayne, I suppose let's try again. Are you back there? You're saying up until this point we have not seen movement, and why now? You're saying this is all appearing to be just talk.
Yes. So a lot of the stuff should have happened already. I mean, I was just saying that you know, boards and ministers on for SOEs and government departments should not be involved in procurement. He makes that statement, but we know that. That's the law. They shouldn't be involved anyway. So there's not much to change there. What we needed to see in here is action now, as opposed to these are the things that we're going to do. We need to see action now. We're tired of the rhetoric and the lip service. We need to see implementation. And this was really just a regurgitation of what the Zondo Commission has said, and all he did was speak about what the Commissioner said. We wanted to hear what him, as the President, is going to do tomorrow. Capacity building and taking out of these institutions those people who have been found wanting. I mean, they took civil society to lay the charges against Mosebenzi Zwane, who's now been apprehended and charged. The President could have done a lot more, and there are a lot of other people in government right now in these committees in Parliament who have been found wanting, but they still chair these committees.
So, speaking of people who still chair committees, one of the areas where you have certainly blown the whistle is the situation at PRASA. The President saying the recommendation to establish a commission of inquiry into PRASA is being kept at abeyance at the moment to allow the DPCI as well as the SIU and the current board to conduct an investigation and see how far that is going to take us. Are they doing the right work currently?
Well, that commission, that inquiry into the PRASA should have been called years ago, quite frankly. You know, I think PRASA now is moving less than 10% of what it was moving in commuters getting to and from work. It's diabolical to see what has happened there. Why are we waiting? I mean, the Commission has said that there's work to be done there. The President should have announced tonight that a commission of inquiry will be looked into on PRASA's matters. So again, you know, we just delay the obvious when he could have made some really profound announcements tonight. You know, it's also very noble of him to say, well, we're indebted to whistleblowers and that. But if he means that, then why is it that Cynthia Stimple, that Bianca Goodson, Tuliam Sher, Martha Ngoyo, the Babita family are suffering right now? These are people that our government owes a massive debt to, and yet they have no jobs. They are struggling for employment. They're struggling for security. It doesn't help to just say these things. We need to show and demonstrate. The President needs to demonstrate that the whistleblowers of the past, whose lives are in danger and who are suffering right now, need to be compensated and quickly. And all the people in SARS that lost their jobs through the KPMG report. But nothing happens. So, you know, again, lip service. A lot could have been done tonight.
In terms of developing a response plan to these things, you think that the President, in 4 months, applied himself extensively since the 23rd of June, I think, was the time he got this report. Is this work worth 4 months of deliberating on this report?
No. Again, it's far too little. I think he's playing for a bit of time. He's trying to, and we see the politics at play here. He's trying to get through December. If he gets through clean in the ANC's elections, maybe he'll be a little bit bolder thereafter. This is politics at its best, filibustering from a political point of view. He could have done a lot more. He's had this report for 4 months, and we were looking for more robust, more succinct, more clear actions that could have been taken and announced tonight of what he knows that was in that report for the last 4 months. So, yeah, very, very disappointing, quite frankly.
Wayne Duvenage, much appreciated, and thank you very much for coming on. That's Wayne there from the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, joining us to give his reaction to the President's address tonight.